Hello, Good Samaritans. We feel it is time to give you an update on the potential capital campaign. First, I want to tell you about the process in which we are currently engaged, which will help us determine if we will move forward with a capital campaign. To get to this particular moment in the life of our congregation, our first step was to engage with you in a listening process about our core values. We surveyed and discussed and re-articulated what is important to us as a community. There was broad agreement that this community revolves around the values of love, active caring, and servanthood. From these values, we want to be sure that any projects and improvements we embark upon make sense and fit with our mission and values as a community of faith. We completed that step last spring and summer, ending with conversations at the end of services in July. Since this summer's conversations, we've been working to better define projects based on what we learned from you and on the needs of the community and what we learned from our buildings and grounds team. As an example, we all know we need to address the kitchen. But just what kind of kitchen do we need? We are relatively space limited. So can we get what we think we need in that space? And what will that cost? We have been gathering that kind of information on each of the potential projects before we move forward. Now, this is not because we are finalizing the plans for projects, but because we need the projects better framed and defined before we talk to you about them again. We have engaged an architect, a building inspectors, and foundation experts in this process. This spring, with the help of faith-based consulting firm Vandersall Collective, we are entering the next phase of the potential capital campaign. This is called a feasibility study. Is this campaign feasible in the life of our community? This study will tell us, among other things, whether or not there's support for a capital campaign, what we might expect to raise, how many of you would be willing to volunteer to help in this effort. What are your priorities as a community for these projects that we have identified? Hopefully, this explanation makes clear why this feasibility study is critical before we decide whether or not we will embark on a capital campaign. We have set aside our adult formation time on February 12th and February 19th from 9:30 to 10:15 a.m. between the services to discuss with you this topic in person. We will discuss the process in more detail and share information we have on potential projects. Hopefully, this communication, this video, and the letter accompanying it has answered some questions you might have. It may have also generated new ones. So please join us in February. We'll try to answer them as best we can, reminding you that nothing is finalized and that this next stage of the process is to hear from you so that we can better frame this work. To gain the information needed for the feasibility study, later this spring, we will have another survey. It's really important that we hear from each of you In addition, we will interview some of you to get some additional information that is difficult to get in a survey. Thank you for your engagement and your patience. We feel this campaign will only be successful if we take each step carefully and involve everyone. This year, Good Sam will be 58 years old. We need to think about what the next 60 years will look like. What do we need to do to make this community and this space ready for the next generation of Good Samaritans? Thank you, and God bless.